Hey there guys, I'm going to have to apologise in advance for the awfulness of this video. I'm currently in the middle of packing for university, which is why we're downstairs instead of in my room because it's covered in stuff. And also, the weather seems to have forgotten that it's the end of September and it's absolutely boiling outside and upstairs and in here and pretty much everywhere. So I'm kind of a little bit, yeah. Yay. Now, this is going to end up being a really long video I think, but looking at the list of questions I have here. Yeah, so we'll start at the beginning with Edward's questions. I didn't actually know anybody else before starting. I basically nursed some brain crack for a while, went and posted in your pants, and crossed my fingers, and suddenly everyone started replying and I was extremely happy and it was great. So there we go, I didn't know anybody else beforehand, but now I'm very glad that I know everybody. It normally takes me about, depending on how long the video is, between about 15 minutes and half an hour. I tend to film in one long continuous thing, but as you can see by the end of the last video, there are lots of interruptions, either the door going or the phone going or my mum coming in from work halfway through me filming and that kind of thing. So sometimes there are breaks and stuff, but I do try and film it all in one long piece. As for editing, depending on how quickly my computer's actually wanting to work, it will usually take somewhere between an hour and a half, 2.5 hours, because I'm really slow. I have to confess, I've not counted the CDs, nor do I plan to, because that will just make me feel really bad about how much money I've spent and that I could have saved up for uni, because I did my budget the other day and there's not very much of it. So yeah, but there is far too many up there. And there's what you can't see in the frame. There's a couple of other boxes at the side as well, which have the old CDs that are never being dragged out again, ever. But there's the sort of stuff from when I started getting into music, sort of pop punk, Green Day, Blink-182, that kind of thing. With stuff that I listen to more regularly now, Becky Goodbye, Frank Turner, Ben Marwood, King Blues, that kind of thing. And a bit of everything in between really. I'll listen to just about anything. And on to Emily's questions. Honestly, I don't really know why I chose the university I did. I think what I like most about it, there's just a really nice community feel. It's a campus-based university and it's split up into colleges, so again you've got a smaller community within that. But because I'll be living in the city, then I still get the feel of city life as well. Yeah, everything just seemed really friendly and really nice, so fingers crossed it actually will be. Irrational fears. Okay. I kind of have one which is irrational but very common. One which is mildly rational but not to the extent that I take it to, and ones that is completely irrational because the thing doesn't actually even exist. I tend not to get scared with phobias so much as feel really, really ill. The first one would be spiders. I'm not as bad as I used to be, but there's just something about them and the way that they move and they're just not nice. The second one is cutting stuff up. I'm gonna have to be a bit more specific on that so I don't sound like a complete nutcase, but basically the idea, the action of cutting something, it's mostly with sort of raw meat and flesh and that sort of thing. It tends to take me forever to cook anything because I kind of hold everything like this and do really odd movements with the knife. I tend to watch a lot of shows where there's a lot of bloodletting, which is often not really very well announced, and then I just kind of have to go and pause the show for 10 minutes and try and not be sick. So that's nice. My third was mostly spawned by this book. It's an amazing book, and if you're into Harry Potter I would definitely recommend checking it out. There's also a Narnia version, a Lord of the Rings version and a Dark Materials version, and it's really entertaining, really well thought out and really insightful stuff. It also has a chapter about manticores. Basically it is a creature with a lion's body, a scorpion's tail, 3 rows of sharp teeth and a human head. Which is the bit that gets me. Non-humanoid creatures with humanoid heads and faces. Not good. Mostly to do with this picture here. Yeah. That. And it's horrible. and I can't look at it, and there we go. It also manifests with things like, if anyone's read Darren Shan, the Grotesque, which I think is the one that really reinforced it, because that's just the most disgusting creature I've ever heard or read about in my life. Also, the Lazarus creature from Doctor Who, which is a shame because it's Mark Gatiss and he's a legend, but I can't watch it. So there, that's a suitably embarrassing one for you. Now, being stuck on a desert island for me would depend on whether there was any chance of escape or not, because I think that would change who I was there with. If I knew I was going to be able to escape, then I would take my 3 best friends, because it's a chance to chill on a desert island for a bit and not have to worry about anything, and it'd be good fun. However, if I couldn't escape, I think we're going to have to revert to fictional characters here. I think I would have to pick Hermione Granger and Professor Dumbledore, because they can both apparate, but Sideling Apparition, well, apparition in general, is supposedly not the most pleasant of feelings, so I think we'll go with Castiel from Supernatural, because he can just teleport. So I think that's probably cheating, but you know, if I'm going to take someone to the island, it's someone that I know can get me off the island. Because I'm not very good with the sun, what with the hair and the ridiculously pale skin and the burning all the time. It's difficult. I don't know if there's any band I would want to erase from history altogether, because although there are a lot that I don't particularly like, there are people who like them, and it would be sad to deprive them of that. I think the one I would erase, for purely selfish reasons, is Meatloaf. Not because Meatloaf is particularly bad, not my cup of tea, but you know, okay. However, I do pantomime, and pretty much every year since I started, there has been at least one Meatloaf song in every single show. And it's not fun singing the same song for 6 months in rehearsals. And nobody knows the words, and most people don't really know the tune very well. So yeah, Meatloaf. Here are the shoes in question that I was wearing in the video. An interesting story about these shoes is that they came to the world premiere of Deathly Hallows Part 2 with me, and braved wind and rain and sun and more rain, and McDonald's closing the toilets on us, and more rain and some more rain. Camped out in Trafalgar Square and came to see Darren Criss, and all in all, it was an absolutely amazing couple of days. I do have a video from when we were down there, which is on my other channel, so I will link that in the down there bit, or up there, or over there, or depending on when you're watching it, it could maybe just even be superimposed 3D on the screen, jumping out at you. I don't know how far YouTube's gonna go. That's my interesting shoe story.